you guys don't make it super difficult. You could probably rattle off the top of your head what your strengths are, what your weaknesses. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you do not put anything under your weaknesses category, use a liar. Use a liar.
Hey everyone, welcome to the S.O.B Marketing Podcast, where we celebrate the S.O.B that you are, and if you haven't figured it out yet, we mean small-owned business. We don't mean S.O.B.
Listen, we know that as a small business owner, you are working hard on the daily to keep your business fully operational while trying to promote it. And while some days it may feel like the business is owning you, if we're being honest with each other, I bet you would admit that you wouldn't give up the insanity for anything.
Our commitment here at the S.O.B Marketing Podcast is to give you the real talk, what works when it comes to advertising, marketing, promoting your business, and then what doesn't really work.
And Chelsea and I promise to always keep the conversation real.
It's time for SWOT. Analysis. We're talking about SWOT analysis.
I was going to say, did this podcast suddenly turn into like a career development podcast?
No.
SWAT team?
Yeah, no. We're talking about SWOT, S-W-O-T, Vivian.
I love it.
Yes. Before we get started,
All the acronyms
today. Before we get started, though, hello, welcome back to the S.O.B Marketing Podcast. S.O.B as in small-owned business. We would never call you guys names.
Well, I definitely would not. Chelsea, that's a whole other story.
I would never call you a name you didn't deserve. Already hinted at it, but yes, today Vivian and I are talking about SWOT analysis. Specifically, is a SWOT analysis helpful for small businesses, and should you create one as a small business? So we're going to talk about what a SWOT analysis is. So don't worry if you don't know what it is. We will explain it to you. Do you need one? How to create one, and how often you should create one. Those are the questions I made sure to answer in our notes today. So we're going to talk about it.
And don't forget that if you are in a hurry, Chelsea actually has a chapter marked at the end of this podcast, TLDL, too long didn't listen.
We really love our acronyms.
I know. I mean, par for the course. You guys can flash forward. I was like,
flash
forward to that chapter, listen to it, get the brief synopsis of the conversation, and then come back and listen to it in its entirety, because that's where all of the good conversation happens.
Yes. So Vivian, before we get started on SWOT analysis, let's do the marketing hot take. Pew, 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 pew.
Oh, I feel like you could have done that better.
Oh, okay. Now it's time for the marketing hot take. Pew, 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 pew. Was that
I
better?
like it. Yeah, you took it up an octave.
Okay.
It definitely made a difference.
Yeah, it needed that extra octave. Okay. So marketing hot take for this week is, SWOT analysis is only really helpful for big businesses, corporations, or if you're in a really competitive market.
All right. So this is something you think from a marketing perspective, you feel like a SWOT analysis is beneficial to the larger companies.
I think sitting down and physically working at a SWOT analysis and taking up a bunch of your time to create one is really only beneficial if you're like a big company.
All right. Well, our streak has ended. I had been siding with you for these hot takes, and this one I definitely do not side with. I think it is super beneficial to small business owners. So if you're listening to this and you're running your business, I think it would be a big advantage for you to actually participate and to sit down and every once in a while, and we could talk about, how often you should do it.
Sure.
To do a SWOT analysis. And let me tell you something that's kind of interesting. The SWOT analysis came to be later on, okay? The gentleman that's attributed with starting the SWOT analysis, his name was Albert Humphrey, and it actually wasn't the SWOT. What are you laughing at?
So, usually people name their creations after themselves.
Yeah.
So I was like, Humphrey's analysis. I was like, hump analysis.
Chelsea has renamed it now, the hump analysis.
Hump analysis.
I want to know what your acronyms are. HUMP.
Oh God. Well, we haven't even talked about what SWOT is yet, so let's move on.
Well,
for
so
now.
the reason I bring this up, I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
Albert Humphrey actually developed what was called back then, before it was the SWOT, SWOT analysis. He developed the soft analysis. Okay, so initially it was called this because they had started doing a research project for Stanford Research Institute, and what they were doing was, the purpose was to identify why corporate planning, long-term planning, was failing for Fortune 500 companies. So that was specific, the research. And the reason I bring that up, in SOFT, SOFT, back then actually stood for satisfactory, opportunity, fault, and threat. Okay. They would later change that. So they changed the fault to weaknesses.
Yes.
And they changed satisfactory to strengths. Okay. And so that's where SWOT, SWOT, came from. But the whole reason he developed this was because he was trying to figure out why these companies, and yes, they were Fortune 500 companies, but why they were failing in their long-term planning. And so this was a quick framework that they could use to analyze and to see where their opportunities were, where the threats were, and all that. So I am going to plant my flag on this mountain. And I am saying that that is good for any business, regardless of whether you are a big company or you're a small business that you're a solopreneur. Okay.
Sure. I agree. I just feel like the way that SWOT analysis has developed, it's specifically for Fortune 500 companies.
But why can't we take that framework though? Because it is a good, solid framework. And I what I'm going to say is that the problem comes in where we have been taught, and you guys, when I found out we were going to do SWOT analysis as a topic, I pulled out my big book from college, marketing class, Strategic Marketing Problems book, It talks about it on page 5. It talks about a SWOT analysis. I think we associate it with the academic side of marketing, which it does serve a purpose. When you are going to the bank and the bank is asking you for a marketing plan, your SWOT analysis is embedded and included in that marketing plan, because they want to see that you physically, before they give you money, dollar bills, y'all, they want to see that you have thought about the strengths of this type of business, where your threats are. Why do they want to see you physically going through that decision making or that process? Because they know that in order for you to be successful long term, you have to have a handle on this. They don't do that for only Fortune 500 companies.
That's true.
Yeah, you go get a loan to open up an ice cream shop.
Sure.
You're asking them for $150,000. They're going to say, show me your marketing plan, which includes a SWOT analysis.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to stand on my hill, and I'm going to say that it's good for every type of business.
That's fair. And I want to tweak mine a little bit.
Okay.
I think the idea is important for every kind of business.
Okay.
I think there are places that we get lost when creating a SWOT analysis that I'm going to talk about a little later on in this conversation.
Okay.
And I feel like there's places where we focus too much time.
And the great part of this is, small business owner, you get to decide.
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
So if what we want to do is, we're going to walk through the framework, tell you a little bit about it, its purpose, and then you get to decide how you want to implement this in your small business. I have my recommendations. Chelsea will have hers. You get to pick one and roll with it, or you get to come up with your own and do whatever the heck you want.
You can get to just ignore us if you want. I mean, it's up to you.
You're a grown-ass adult. You can
That's
do whatever you want.
what if there's like a teenager listening?
You're a grown, almost ass adult. You can.
So you're still going to curse at the teenager? Got it. Okay. That's on brand for this
This podcast.
This podcast, yeah. Okay. Well, I think we need to start, Vivian, with what is a SWOT analysis? Mm-hmm. You briefly mentioned, strengths and threats and the new acronyms. What is the new acronym? What is SWOT?
Okay. SWOT stands for S, strengths, W, weaknesses, O, opportunities, T, threats.
Yes. Okay. So a SWOT analysis is literally when you sit down and you think about, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Go through all the letters.
Yes, go through all of the things.
I was going to say go through all the numbers, and I'm like,
Go through all the letters. But what I want to add one more layer to that, if it makes it easier for you to understand exactly what you're doing. Remember, when we say framework, what that means is think of it kind of like a pencil and paper. Take out a sheet of paper, divide it into 4 quadrants, and then literally put SWOT, all right, and know what each one of those stand for. And then you're going to start to develop your list and write your notes. The strengths and the weaknesses, okay, the top part of that sheet of paper, the S and the W, these are going to be internal.
Yes.
Okay, so focus on your resources. Focus on your capabilities. Divide them into these 2 columns. What of your resources and capabilities is a strength? What works in your favor? And then what is a weakness, okay, of your resources and your capabilities? That goes in the W quadrant. Now, your opportunities and your threats, these are going to be external.
Yes.
Okay, the stuff outside of your business. So this could be market trends. This could be competition. That's a good way to think about it.
Yes. I want to point something else. And this is my first beef with SWOT. And the way that we think about it.
Man, we have a lot of beef. We have beef with Facebook. We have beef with...
That's true. I'm beefing with everyone, apparently. I've got
I'm
problems.
I'm cursing at everyone. You're beefing, fighting. Who raised us?
I know, right? Shout out mom and dad. Okay, my issue is when we think about threats, I feel like everyone assumes we are talking about competition.
Okay.
My problem when this comes specifically to small businesses is I feel like sometimes as a small business, we're focusing too much time on competition.
Okay.
Threats is not only your competition. It's more than that. It can include, consumer behavior. It can include economic downturn. Maybe the economy is really bad right now. It can include the cost of your materials rising. Like, it's more than just competition.
Fair. Yes. And I agree. And I think, like I was explaining, if you want to simplify it, it's anything that is external.
Yes.
That can have an impact on your business. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes that could be legal stuff that's going on, right?
That's a big one. Yeah.
Let's say you're in the weed industry and they're about to pass a law where basically, they're like, hey, you can't sell that anymore.
Well, THC.
Yes.
Like, that's a big problem right now with the THC industry, is because everyone's trying to figure out what's legal and what's not. That is a threat for your business.
Yes. Hemp is another one here in South Carolina that they, they're always switching the rules on. So that's the thing, is it's not just, like you said, the competition. It could be the government that they're passing a law that's going to impact you.
It could be the government. That's someone else that got beef with.
Government.
Let me stop. Go ahead.
But so it could be a variety of things, to your point. I do like that you brought that and called that out specifically, because we naturally do tend to think that it is a competitor.
Absolutely. And I do want to say, small business owner, yes, it's good to know what's going on with your competition. Let's not play the comparison game.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
Yeah. And so going back to this, when could we possibly, or when would we need to create a SWOT analysis? When should we, do you think, Chelsea, should we actually sit down as a small business owner and potentially do this I don't want to call it an activity. When do we want to do this analysis?
Sure. For one, and you already mentioned this, number one time to do a SWOT analysis if you're getting a business loan.
Yes.
They will want to see one, 100%. If you're not doing that, then I think, one, it'd be great if you're already doing a rundown on your business, on your marketing.
Okay.
Like if you're revisiting your mission and your vision, if you're doing your quarterly reports or something like that, like if you're already diving in and going deep into what's going on in your business, I feel like a SWOT analysis would be helpful.
Yeah.
One. Two, I feel like, Vivian, and this is coming back to another one of my beefs with SWOT, I feel like we do this anyways.
Okay.
I feel like most businesses are already thinking about this. They're just not writing it down.
I agree with that. I do. And maybe you guys can attest to this. If you're like Vivian, Chelsea, I think
I think about my threats all the time. Yes, I understand.
And I'm always looking for opportunities to grow my business. So you are doing some part of this already. This is just a formal process of sitting down, writing it down, and actually thinking it through. So what I'm going to say is you can do a SWOT analysis before you implement a big change in your business. If, let's say, you are a solopreneur or you're just a one-person show and you're suddenly going... Two-person show.
Sorry.
And then you're going to bring on another person. You're going to employ your first team member. This would be a great chance for you to sit down and do a SWOT analysis because I think it's going to lend itself to being helpful as far as you looking for opportunities, right, externally, or also you addressing your weaknesses now internally before you bring someone else into your mess,
Honestly.
So anytime you implement a big change, it could be launching a new initiative. So if you have a new product or service, it'd be good for you to get a good grasp and look at your landscape. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? If I go into this, what am I going to have to change internally before I launch this service? Do I have enough team members? Do I have limited monetary resources? Do I have a platform that doesn't allow me to book that type of service? And is it going to make it very manual for me? These are all things you want to know up front. Another one is perhaps you find a new opportunity for improvement. All right, great. Go ahead and do your SWOT analysis and then figure out, are you going to have any added stressors in there because of your current weaknesses or threats down the road? And then the last one is, you already said this, but if you're just doing an analysis of where you are in your business, this is a good one to throw in there. You guys, don't make it super difficult. You could probably rattle off the top of your head what your strengths are, what your weaknesses, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you do not put anything under your weaknesses category, use a liar. Use a liar, okay?
We all have weaknesses. Vivian, what's our weakness?
Our weakness is we were just talking about repurposing the content that we have, right?
Absolutely.
In order for us to get this podcast to grow, we have a ton of episodes. We also have to sit down and manually schedule content to promote listening to the podcast episode, right? The one way we're going to be able to maintain that consistency and showing up is to actually pre-schedule these things.
Absolutely.
And so, yes.
But my point was, she immediately knew what it was.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure as a small business owner, you immediately know what it is. So don't lie. Write it down.
Yeah. We want you to have an accurate analysis of what's going on in your small business. And at any point in time, if we are good business owners, we are going to know exactly what belongs in each one of these categories, because that means we have a pulse on our business.
Absolutely.
All right, so don't be saying, I ain't got no threats, I ain't got no weaknesses.
Because then you a little liar.
Use a little liar.
A little liar. I do want to say real quick, though, Vivian, we in the past have done episodes on marketing plans, marketing budgets. We discussed you probably want to visit those quarterly. I would say visit this quarterly too. I would say include this when you're looking at your marketing plan and your marketing budget and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's that's best practice. We would want you to do it quarterly basis. You're already in there looking at and evaluating how well you're doing on your budget, if anything needs to change with your marketing plan, what new marketing initiatives you want to do for the next quarter. Go ahead and throw this in there. But worst case scenario, if you're listening and you're like, I ain't got time for all that. Okay. Worst case scenario, we want you to do this once a year.
Yes.
Pick a time where you're slow in your business, whatever your dip is, go ahead and do this this doesn't even take a full day, you guys. Okay. This is going to take you not even an hour, but I'm going to give you an hour at most.
Yeah.
Find an hour out of your day at least once a year to do this, because we talked about the strengths and the weaknesses being internal factors. Your business is going to change year to year.
Yeah.
Okay. The opportunities and the threats being external factors. Your competition's always changing. The industry is consistently changing. Let me tell you guys, just because I have healthcare experience, the healthcare landscape now in 2026 is so different than when I started 15 plus years ago. Okay. Yeah. And that's because it's not for any other reason than the average consumer has changed. Yeah. Are you telling me that nowadays, as a healthcare company, you can't schedule appointments, electronically or, online? Yeah. You're telling me I still have to call the office. You're telling me you can't digitize some of this payments and all this stuff. The landscape, the world has changed, and therefore these industries have to evolve with it. So once a year, worst case scenario, best practice, if you want to be a really good marketer, we want you to do this once a quarter.
Yes, once a quarter.
This episode of the S.O.B. Marketing Podcast is brought to you by the S.O.B. community. If you're a small business owner that is neglecting your marketing and you feel like you've wasted money and time on marketing help that didn't deliver, or if you're just craving support from people who actually get what it's like to run and promote a small business, then our membership community is for you. Visit school.com/SOB to sign up today to get instant access and weekly support. That's SKOOL.com/SOB.
We already talked about this a little bit, but let's talk about how to create a SWOT analysis. Y'all,
Perfect.
This is so easy. You take a piece of paper, you split it into 4, and you just brain dump. You just write it down. Just think about what your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. Write it down. I want to say, focus on the big things in each quadrant. Don't waste your time on the small, tiny issues that you cannot change or you cannot fix. Focus on the big things that are really impacting your business that you can make a change. Because I don't want you guys to stress out. Because this can also be... It can be a stressor.
You could spiral.
You could spiral. You really could. Listing all of these threats. Some of them... Yes, they're threats, but they're not that big of a deal.
Well, I will say this. If this sounds like it would be stressful to you, I understand you still have to do it. Okay, we're gonna put our big marketer pants on. Okay, one leg at a time, and we're gonna do the things.
Mine's a skirt. I'm still gonna put it on.
We're gonna put your big marketer skirt on, even if you're a man. No, I'm joking.
I mean, you could. You can do whatever you want, Vivian.
You're a grown ass adult.
Yeah.
But you need to do the hard thing. It might not be something you look forward to. What I will say is, just like any other muscle that you train, the more you do it, I think the easier it's going to get. And eventually you're going to not hesitate to do it. You're going to be like, oh, it's a practice I do all the time. Every quarter, let me just go ahead and get this out of the way.
Vivian, what we're going to do is we're going to create a template for you guys.
I like that she's telling me right now. She's like, this is what we're going to do.
Vivian, by the way, this is what we're doing. I've decided just now. We're going to create a template so you guys can just print it off, and it's going to have like 2 questions for each category.
I love it.
Questions to ask yourself if you're having a hard time coming up with, your strengths or your threats. I can come up with a threat right now, which is me. Because I work with my big sister, and sometimes... No, I'm kidding.
She does threaten me. You guys heard it here first, okay? So
It's out of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want that download, that printable sheet that you guys can go ahead, print out, fill in, and then just keep it on a cork board or keep it with wherever else you're keeping your marketing plans and stuff. And then you could come back and revisit.
Yeah.
So
basically, your marketing plan that you take to the bank should have just like the seasoned marketer on everything, since we have like a marketing budget template.
That's
I think.
right.
Marketing
We have
plan
all the templates.
template. Yeah, just all the templates.
But click the link in the description and you'll be able to download that for free.
Yes.
The one thing that I do want to point out here is, this is something, if it makes it a little easier for you to pony up, to get invigorated, to be able to fill this out, okay? One of the things that can help you with that is just realizing that this can be super useful to helping you make decisions. If you want to be able to make decisions quickly, then a SWOT analysis will be able to help you with that, okay? So,
well, and just pitching, Vivian, just pitching one more time, doing this quarterly, it would benefit you doing it quarterly, because then when you sit down with your marketing plan, doing your variable and your fixed cost, your fixed marketing, picking those variable marketing opportunities will be easier when you have a SWOT.
yes.
Yeah.
If you're lost with fixed and variables, go back and listen to our episode about our marketing budget.
Yes.
And how to do a real life 2026 marketing budget, not that old school dusty stuff that they teach you,
Honestly.
from like 1999.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So, but
yes, it's budget, not plan. I'm sorry.
yes. But so what some of the decisions that you can use the SWOT analysis for, once you download our sheet, you fill it out, you ask yourself some of the prompt questions that we're going to have at the top. We want you to think about, how does this help me prioritize my actions?
Yes.
Okay. Is the threats that I listed, are they a year or two down the road?
Yeah.
Are they imminent? Are they happening like next week? Do I need to, prioritize that and actually move on it? Do I need to do anything in my business to accommodate for that threat or for that change? Also, it helps you to develop strategic plans, okay, that play up your strengths. Chelsea just said it. Great. You're looking at your marketing plan for the next quarter. What can you do in your marketing to help you play up your opportunities, your strengths? What meshes well with that? It helps to improve your weaknesses. If you do this once a quarter, by the time you have something to compare and contrast to.
Yeah.
If you're filling out your weakness or your SWOT analysis in quarter 2, pull out your quarter 1 SWOT analysis and look through it. Ideally, some of those weaknesses should not be on the list again in quarter 2. You should be able to mark them off and be like, hey, I took actions and I fixed this weakness. Now I have other weaknesses that I can put on there, because we're constantly improving, right? The other thing is, it does allow you to seize those opportunities. In the same sense, when you get to quarter 2, when you get to the second half of the year, maybe some of those opportunities come off because you're like, I already took some marketing. I did marketing campaigns to really amp up and take advantage of the opportunities that I saw at the beginning of the year. And then the other thing is, you do counteract those threats like we talked about. Also, it's super useful. It's a tool for you guys to be able to set objectives and create a roadmap. And what better way to be able to share this with your team? If you have a small team, 2 people that you employ, great. Don't be shy about sharing this analysis with them, and maybe even asking for their input, because they may have a fresh set of eyes to be like, if they're answering the phones and they tell you, one of our biggest weaknesses is that our phone carrier that we're using, or the system we're using, keeps hanging up on people. You kind of want to address that, okay? That's money on the table. Yeah. So, I mean, these are really great opportunities for you to get other people active and to get their opinion as well.
Yes. Look at us. I think this was a great conversation. Are we ready for the TLDL then?
We are.
Ah, look at that. Okay. This is the TLDL chapter. Too long didn't listen. If you skipped ahead to this chapter, I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of what we talked about today. However, when you have the time, go back and listen to this entire conversation. So today we talked about SWOT analysis. What is it? It is your list of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Do you need one as a small business owner? It's best practice to have one. Also, if you are going to the bank, they're going to want to see one too. How do you create a SWOT analysis? Very simple. Just write it down. Just brain dump on something. And how often do I need to create one? Best practice is quarterly. However, if you can only do this once a year, that's your best bet. At the very least, do this once a year. Okay, Vivian, before we wrap up, I also want to say, where are our reviews? Okay, I feel like every
You remember those
week,
threats she was talking about?
Yeah, this is why I'm on the list for our threats, because now I'm threatening you. What's going on? You listen every week, and we love that, and we appreciate that. We'd also really appreciate a review. And if you're not listening every week, you should be doing that. You should follow, subscribe, like, binge all of the 150 plus other episodes we have. Come on. This 2026 is the year that these SOBs get their marketing together.
That's right.
That's
I love
right.
it.
Okay.
Yes, definitely leave us a review. And if anything, tell us, you can let us know what topics you want to hear about in there. You can, talk
You can
about how
say
Chelsea threatens.
Chelsea
people.
threatens listeners. Chelsea needs to tone it down a notch.
That's right. Any reviews, we love
We
them
need
all.
to replace her with the other 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐄𝐃 sibling.
No, you guys don't want Hector on here. Even though that probably would be an interesting conversation.
I take this back. Do not replace me.
All right. We'll catch you guys next week. And thanks for tuning in.
And go be the best SOB you can be.